The Woodcock Mission to Hanoi basically would consist of a couple of days of meetings. We would be at a kind of pretty ornate setting and in a conference room, and the Americans would be on one side of the table and the Vietnamese on the other. They were led by Vice Foreign Minister named Van Hien, and actually the French was used in a lot of the exchanges, but sometimes Vietnamese would come in. So I was at the end of the table monitoring things and prepared to step in if I thought the Vietnamese translation of what we were saying was a little off. Didn't happen very often, but I'd interject something, and I kept track of what the Vietnamese were saying and what emphasis they were putting on this. There would be a call on the president of the Socialist Republic of Vietnam, the leading Communist Party member, where I would be interpreter for Leonard Woodcock in that setting. And then there would be a field trip out, which we weren't sure where it was going to go, but they told us there was this possibility. And then there would be two banquets given at night. On the first night, the Vietnamese served as hosts for us, and they provided the menu and the setting. On the second night, we were to be the hosts. So one of the things I had to do as the junior State Department guy was, officer, I should say, on the trip. I carried all the money in my canvas bag with the locks on it, and they told me I'd need about $1,000 to be able to pay for the banquet. So I had to go out with my US money, take it to the central bank, where they would change it for me into Vietnamese currency. I would bring the currency back to the meeting place where we were together. They would introduce me to the banquet manager, the caterers, as it were there. And we would together pick out the menu and arrange for the banquet, then everything to drink that we were hosting. So I've got my money, walk over to the central bank. By the way, Hanoi is this incredibly drab place. There are no businesses, there are no shops selling food. There are a few central food distribution places. You'd watch a truck drive up with bread and people would swarm up to buy the bread. You could walk across the streets without ever looking either way. There were like almost no vehicles, no cars, people on bicycles. It was a place devoid of economic and commercial activity. It was socialism, communism, plus a war economy. So I'm walking through the street. The only light at night was a picture of Ho Chi Minh on the top of the central bank with some light bulbs around it. It's the only lit sign in the whole city. So it's daytime, I go in, I've got probably $100 bills. Said I need this changed into South Vietnamese money, into Vietnamese currency, and they come back and they have this enormous pile of currency because their currency is such small denominations. So I've got, like, imagine a big brown shopping bag full of money. And at first I didn't have any shopping bag, I didn't have anything to carry it in. I put some of it in the pockets of my clothes, but so finally they brought out the equivalent of a shopping bag, filled it up, it's up to the brim, and I'm now walking through the streets of Hanoi. I don't have any security or anybody to guard, I just have a big bag of money. So here's the thing. As poor as it was, as you might think it would be danger of theft or robbery, it felt totally safe. I got back to the hotel, to my room. I would have, if needed, left the bag of money sitting there and gone out, feeling absolutely assured that when I'd come back several hours later, even though people could get in and out of my room, all the money would still be there. It was a strange feeling. I take my bag of money, I go over to the meeting center where I sit down with the caterers, I talk to them in Vietnamese, we pick out this dish and that dish and which soup we're going to have, asparagus and corn soup and wonderful chai yaw, spring rolls, etc. They had food and they could make good food. And so that night we had the return banquet, and the feeling and atmosphere was quite good. It was really good. And in fact, Leonard Woodcock, who was Ambassador Woodcock, who's about to be ambassador to Belgium, said, I want to send a report back to the president, tell him about what's happened so far. But that's another story I'll share with you. It's another interesting experience.